Hi, and welcome to another coffee break with Formation. So, today I want to talk about curiosity. So, I've spent a lot of time with engineers, building with them, interviewing with them, and now training them at Formation. And of course, I spend an embarrassing amount of time trying to answer the question, what makes an engineer great and how can we make one become that way? And this can be kind of a dangerous question because what makes one engineer great may not work for another engineer. Every person is super different. And I always want to be careful about prescribing any one single path to anything. So today I'm talking about a particular trait that I have found to be a common thread across all great engineers. And I've yet to find an exception so far. And that is the trait of curiosity. And this is really about, always getting to the how and why behind how something works. And it's about, when your code is broken, not just trying to like hack a fix and make the error go away, but really understanding why it's not working, and why it's broken. And it's also about wondering kind of when decisions are made, why that decision was made, and what the alternatives are, what the trade-offs are between the different possible alternatives, and why was this decision made at the end of the day. And so the next thing I kind of want to talk about is how to train for curiosity. And for whatever reason, I think curiosity feels to a lot of people like a fixed trait that you can't train for. And I think it's because it's kind of an adjective that feels like it's describing a person, like being tall or short, rather than being a skill. And to me, I kind of think about curiosity as a habit. And, habits can certainly be trained and they can certainly be practiced. So what are some of the ways that we can train to be more curious then? So I think first, really, it just starts with your coding, taking away this obsession of always getting to a correct solution and really trying to flip the script to learning something from every session that you're practicing coding. I see a lot of people practicing for algorithm interviews where they kind of understand even like the high level approach, but then when I go and ask them about how a specific line of code works or why it's needed, they have a hard time describing it because they're not really familiar at that level. And that's not a great sign. You want to be at a point where you can explain how every line of code works and what the consequences of removing it would be to your program. So first, practice curiosity within your everyday coding practice. But secondly, you can expand this practice beyond coding into your everyday life. And this might feel a little bit stretched, but let me try to kind of illustrate with an example. So the other day, we were watching one of those Google drone videos that was kind of like an overview shot of these bunch of cities. And this particular one was over a busy street in Dubai. And for whatever reason, like all of these buildings had helipads on top, and they all had this like triangle shape, but they were all pointed in kind of a weird diagonal direction that wasn't aligned with the buildings. And, one of the engineers just was curious and wondered why that was. And so, of course, we researched this, and it turns out it's really interesting. It's actually related to wind danger and kind of the recommended landing direction for a helicopter in a spot where there's danger for high winds. Anyway, so that was something that we learned that day. And, what I am recommending, I guess, is to try and see if you can get curious about something, wonder about something, and ask ask and answer one question every single day like this. The strategy might feel like an odd one, and it's definitely more of kind of like that long game. But I am confident that developing and honing and really nurturing this curiosity mindset will long term make you a better engineer. And so the kind of final thing that I'll say is that because curiosity is such a foundational trait of great engineering, it is also one of the most common traits that interviewers are looking for during behavioral interviews. And so get curious about the companies that you're interviewing at, and prepare questions to ask them, not just because it's on a checklist of things that you have to prepare for this interview, but really just wonder about the company, and just think about what you're just dying to find out about them, and then ask about those things. So to wrap things up, curiosity is foundational to great engineering, and it is a habit that you can train for, and you can get started on that today, both in your coding as well as in your everyday life. And to end this video off, and very much in the spirit of today's topic, I am very curious to hear what you think are some of the great traits of great engineers. And feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. And let me know also if you agree, if curiosity is such a foundational trait of a great engineer. And that's it for today. I will see you at the next coffee break with Formation.